Hello everyone and welcome to another Should I Fly It? Today I'm going to look at the Wolfpack, so the three U-boats and the contracted scout, Jumpmaster 5000, all armed with some form of torpedo, guidance strips and deadeye. The main way this list functions normally is just that it outputs a massive amount of damage out there early in the hope that you just wreck your opponent's list and then get to fly around and just finish anything off with your turrets. The version I'm going to talk about today is just one of the ones I like. Um, it's a little bit different. It doesn't take full advantage of the R4 aggro mech combination, but it does come in with a good initiative bid and still manages to save you protons, extra munitions, and Boba Fett. So this is the one I'm going to talk about. So it's two contracted scouts with plasma torpedoes, deadeye, um, so, which is the crux of the list really, guidance chips, overclocked R4, and extra munitions. This is your meat to the list. It's the generic ones at 32 points each, and then the more special one, shall we say, is the proton torpedoes, extra munitions, deadeye, guidance chips, and Boba Fett. So this one doesn't have any astromech, and the reason for this is so that it comes in at 97 points, because you actually want to make sure you get to go before the other Jumpmasters, because hopefully you'll just wreck them and they'll get a crit through with Boba Fett and get rid of a deadeye, something like that, and it gives you that little bit of advantage when the initiative's really important. Make sure you do a sizable bid. So, reasons why this list is good: it has the Jumpmasters in it. It's a very efficient ship. It comes in at a really reasonable price point, 25 points base, and you consider the other generic large base ships that FFG have put out there in the past. I feel like they've finally got the two attack dice turreted ship right in the points value. Obviously, when you consider the torpedo platform, 25 points becomes even more of a bargain. But the dial on this thing is amazing. If you take out the extra greens that you're getting for the left turns and left banks, it's still an amazing dial. Add into that the white sloop to the left as well, and it's a fantastic ship to fly. It has a really good spike in damage output. It can output a good alpha strike. Its primary role really is you want to try and line up all three of them to shoot at one target and just remove it from the table. And do that again in the next turn, and you're home and dry really. It can reposition with an innate barrel roll. Deadeye functions really well in that it replaces the need for target lock, so you get to take your focus action, spend your focus tokens for your shot, and then depending on how critical it is, you either regain the focus with the overclocked R4s and suffer stress, but as I've already said, you've got a good amount of green on the dial, even if it is to the left. You still have those forwards, and you don't have to line up both torpedo shots successively. Chances are we're probably going to get into range 1 anyway. That's another reason why I like the R4s on this list rather than the agromechs. When you're flying against this list, range is extremely important, as is the arcs. When you consider that the torpedoes still have to be fired from the arc, that's the main weakness of them. You don't necessarily want to dive into range 1 unless you've got a meaty ship or a stack of evade tokens or something to try and weather the storm. Because even if you do jump into range 1, you're going to then take 3 dice primaries from all of them as well. So it's a pretty solid list. It's relatively fun to fly. I really enjoy flying one Jumpmaster. I can see myself getting pretty bored flying 3 of them. It's another one of those lists which is similar to the TLTs. It's got a relatively high floor but a pretty low ceiling as well. I think there's a lot more scope for player skill to come into this than the 4TLT list. And that you do have the repositioning, you do have the options to spend with the Overclocked R4s and Boba Fett. And it can be an interesting dynamic flying the list. It can do really, really well against quite a lot of matchups. It does suffer horrendously against some of the PS4 matchups, anything like that with Crackshot especially can be difficult, so the Crack Swarm can do really well against it. And generally anything around about that 14 to 15 points per ship type list, where you don't really want to be spending torpedoes here and there. You want to be taking out high priority expensive ships with these torpedoes. Another thing to consider when flying it is it's probably not a good idea to spunk your first round of torpedoes all on Fel just because you've got him and they've still got the Emperor and stuff like that. You might kill him, but equally you might not. So make sure you're picking your targets as well. If someone hangs out a Fel at range 3 through a rock with the Palpatine and he's got the evade tokens and focus tokens, it's going to be 5 dice due to stealth device and the obstruction. You know, that's not necessarily a shot you want to be taking. You want to make sure you're lining up for the range 2 shot on Fel so it doesn't get auto thrusters, things like that. But don't get baited into firing your torpedoes too early or feeling like you have to fire them in order to win the games. You will win games and still have munitions left on some of these, so don't go too hard too soon. That's about it. There's not really too much to talk about when it's literally almost copy and paste of each ship. So the floor to this list is pretty high with it all being turreted. Having the ordnance with guidance chips and Deadeye is a really nice combination. I don't feel like you have to go as hard as people have been on the Deadeye and R4 Agromech combination, as it does come in at an extra point per droid. So in this list it would put you at 100 points. So, well, in fact, you couldn't do it in this list. You'd have to drop the protons back down to plasmas on the Scout number 3. But I feel like this one's a good one to give a try if you're interested in flying the Wolfpack. And if you enjoyed the video, guys, please hit the subscribe button and feel free to leave any comments. Let me know if there's a list you want to talk about. And thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll see you again soon.